Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in wa ba'd. So this is episode number 6 from the notes on the notes for self-development. All right, and this one I said success is truly about showing up every day. There are so many days in which when we don't have the energy or the desire to do anything that day. Our minds and bodies are pleading with us to take it easy and just relax for the day. If you obey your mind and your body, you will toss yourself back into servitude. I've never obeyed my mind and body one day and got back on track the next. Once I obeyed my mind and body, my entire train became derailed. The days that you do not want to work are going to be much more than the days you do want to work, especially in the beginning. However, you have to show up every day and get something done. You have to disobey your mind and your body on those days and make sure you achieve something that day to shut those two up. All right, so this was hard for me to talk about because this is always, I think this is not just my biggest problem, but I think it's everybody's biggest problem. And this is the fact that the majority of the people, they only work towards achieving what they want to achieve when they feel like it. When they feel like it, they're going to do it. When they don't feel like it, they don't. And that's because there's no discipline. There's no discipline. There's no desire. There's no passion. All of the things that a person needs to be successful, they're lacking in those things. Because if the person has a real desire to achieve something, the real passion about that thing, and the discipline, then he'll get it done every day. He's going to get something done every single day. There's never going to be a day off. Even the days that he said, okay, I'm going to take it off to rest, he can't do it. He just can't do it. He can't relax. You know, he's got to do something. He got to get something done that day. And then that's the reality. You're never going to see anybody that's successful in anything, whether it's knowledge, whether it's athletics, even sports. You're not going to see all of these athletes that you see, these elite athletes. They don't ever take a day off. They can't. Even their days off would be like a workout, like a tiring workout for us. You know, us regular people who don't, aren't on that type of level. So, and the same thing with knowledge. The day that a person of knowledge, you see like an Adam, takes it easy, would be probably the most difficult day for the average person. And that's his taking it easy. And this is the reality. So success is truly about showing up every day. You gotta get up and make it to the starting line every day. You gotta show up. Even if it's not your best day, you just got to show up and even you got to drudge through the day to get something done. You just got to do it. There's some times where like just the most simple task, I might get done because it's just, I feel good that day. So I get all the stuff done that I have on my checklist. I get it done quick. Within 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm done. And there's other days, it's like I get started at early in the morning, but I don't get finished until like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. Sometimes I have leftovers. Something I didn't get done. So this is the reality. And there's going to be days like that, but there shouldn't be a day where it's just like nothing on that checklist gets done. Nothing. Like something always has to get done. And whenever you're prioritizing your goals and the things that you have to, your goals are your goals. And then you have to prioritize your day, your checklist every single day that's, in a way that's going to meet those goals. But the checklist has to be prioritized in the manner of putting the first things first. All right, what's the most important goal? All right, so what's the one thing that I can't, all right, I have to achieve this. So the majority of the people, obviously Muslims that are just getting started and seeking knowledge, they're going to say what? Study the Arabic language and memorize the Quran. Those are the two most important things. All right, so out of those two things, what's the most important thing? Studying the Arabic language, obviously, because understanding the Quran is more important than memorizing the Quran. I would much rather die having never memorized the Quran, but I can understand it, and I understand what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying in the Quran, and I can go and I can act upon it. I can implement it in my life. That's much better for me than just memorizing something that I don't understand. So you have to prioritize that thing first. All right, so studying Arabic is the priority. That's the first thing that you get done every single day. The first thing. And the Quran is, all right, now that's memorizing the Quran I didn't say reading the Quran, because reading the Quran is something that you have to do every single day, regardless. That's number one. That's the number one priority. As soon as you open your eyes, it should be to open up the Mus'haf, drink some water, open the Mus'haf and get reading. That while you're making your tea or your coffee or whatever, you are already reading the Quran. That's something that should never stop. Never. So I'm not talking about reading the Quran. I'm talking about memorizing the Quran. So if you have a portion that you're trying to memorize, first you get to Arabic studies done. Then you sit down and you go through that portion that you're memorizing. And obviously, if the focus is on the Arabic language, you shouldn't prioritize trying to memorize too much of the Quran. Try to memorize just a little bit that you can do on a regular basis. You know, if you try, like for me, I couldn't take like a half a page or a third of a page like some people. I have to take the whole page. But instead of like taking the whole page and like saying I have to do it today, I would take 4 or 5 days to memorize it. Take 4 or 5 days. I read it 100 times a day, khalas. And then after 4 or 5 days, it's done. And then, but I barely focused on it. I was focusing on the Arabic studies. I just took that time to make sure that I got this reading done throughout the day. And it helped me with the Arabic language. So, but you have to prioritize the thing that your main goal. When you show up, you know, maybe certain days you just don't have the energy. Maybe you're sick. You're just not going to get the things done. But you have to make sure that at least you get those most important priorities done. And if you're truly, really, really sick to the point where it's like relax, just relax. You know, you're sick, you're sick. You know, what can you do? We're not talking about like you're sneezing and you say, oh, I'm going to take a day off. I have a cold. No, that's not an excuse. So he said there are so many days in which we don't have the energy or the desire to do anything that day. And that's the reality. In fact, those days are going to be the majority of the days. Especially, I mean, like I mentioned here, especially in the beginning. In the beginning, because you're fighting against your nafs. You're fighting against yourself because you're changing your whole routine. You're changing, all your habits are starting to change. Everything about, and when you start to change your habits, everything about you changes. Everything changes once you change your habits. So once you start to do that and you make these things a habit, and now obviously to make them a habit, you have to replace this habit. You have to replace a former habit with this habit, right? So and what you're replacing is something that wasn't probably beneficial. Maybe when you woke up every single day, the first thing you did was you grabbed your phone and you started to scroll through the phone. Maybe that was the first thing you did, right? So now you're replacing that something that's scrolling, which has no benefit for you whatsoever in your life. And now you're replacing it with, okay, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I drink some water, I go to the bathroom, you know, make wudu, whatever you have to do. I mean, obviously you're praying Fajr first, inshallah. But maybe you get up before Fajr. So if you're getting up before Fajr, then okay, I pick up the Mus'haf and I start reading. Start reading until it's time for Fajr. All right, and then if I still have some reading left over with the Quran, I continue after Fajr. Now I get started on my Arabic studies. When you get done with your Arabic studies, that's when you say, okay, now I have breakfast. Like you said, I'm not going to have breakfast. I'm not going to eat anything. I'm not even going to have tea or coffee until I get this done. And then make it to where like you force yourself to do this every single day. So like, you know, the breakfast and the tea, the coffee or whatever it is that you drink, that's your reward for getting that done. And then you get started on the next thing and the next thing. And you move down through your list of priorities until you've completed everything throughout the day. So I said, our minds and bodies are pleading with us to take it easy and just relax for the day. And that's the nafsu ammaratun bisu. You have, you know, this nafs, and everybody is fighting these different anfus, these different aspects of their nafs. So you have the nafs al-ammaratun bisu. So this nafs, what it does is it commands you to do evil, commands you to be lazy, commands you to just do nothing, commands you just to take the day off. And this is the one that you have to disobey to get these things done. Because you can't obey your desires and you can't obey your nafs. You have to look at what you need to get done, what you're trying to achieve, and that's what you're working towards, and that's what you need to focus on. If you obey your mind and your body, you will toss yourself back into servitude. Servitude that you become a slave to your desires and a slave to your nafs. And this is exactly what you're trying to escape. By changing your habits, that's what you're trying to do. And that's the difficulty. That difficulty that you're experiencing is because you're changing your whole life. Your whole life is going to change. Just you'd be surprised just changing 1 or 2, 3 habits throughout your day, what it does to your life. But it changes every aspect of your personality. Everything about you starts to change. Just the thing about getting up early and saying, okay, I'm gonna go to bed early, and I'm gonna wake up 30 minutes before Fajr. I'm gonna drink some water. I'm gonna start reading the Quran every single day until I pray Fajr. Just that thing, just that act alone, and the type of impact that it can have on the changing of your personality, the changing of you as a person. and how you look at life and how you view things is huge. It's huge. And then as you start to change more and more habits, you're going to start to see that change, because we are our habits. I mean, period. If our habits are bad, then that's how our look on life is going to be. It's going to be bad. If our habits are just to be entertained, and that's what we look for throughout our days. And that's why you see one person, he sees an accident, and he whips out his phone and he pulls over to the side of the road and wastes 30 minutes recording an accident, or doing something just because it's an accident. It happens every single day. Go on, you move. But that's the mindset of that person. But you see the other person who he's trying to get from point A to point B because he's got things to do. He's not stopping for that accident. If it's something serious, I mean, maybe he sees like maybe people are injured or whatever. He makes dua for them and keep it moving. You can see that stuff on the news if it was something serious. But he doesn't have time to sit back and look at these things. Everything about that person's personality, it changes when he starts to change his habits, and he puts the focus on, all right, these are the things I have to achieve, and these are the things that are wasting my time. And I don't want to give the things that are wasting my time any of my attention anymore. So he said, I've never obeyed my mind or body one day and got back on track the next day. Once I obeyed my mind or body, my entire train became derailed. And once you derail a train, it's very hard to get that thing back on the tracks. And that's what happens. So what happens is you take a day off, and then you're like, well, I already took one day off. Let me go ahead and take this day off. Oh, it's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday. I'll go ahead and take the weekend off, and I'll get back on track on Monday. Nah, you're lying to yourself. And that's exactly what Shaitan wants you to say to yourself, because he knows he's got you. He's got you. If this is the type of conversation you have with yourself, if you miss a day for whatever reason, then you have to have the mindset like, tomorrow I'm going to work twice as hard. I'm going to work twice as hard. So he said, the days that you do not want to work are going to be much more than the days you do want to work, especially in the beginning. However, you have to show up every day and get something done. Get something done. All right, if you have 10 things that you have to do every single day on your checklist, and you only do 3 every day, but you got those 3 things done, keep getting those 3 things done. And eventually, inshallah, the other 7 things begin to get easier and easier. You start to add another, and then another. I write up a checklist every single day. I don't expect to get every single thing done every day on that checklist. But there are certain things that have to get done. They have to, no matter what. Like, no excuses. So, Allahumma musta'an. However, you have to show up every day and get something done. You have to disobey your mind and your body on those days and make sure you achieve something that day to shut those 2 up. Shut your nafs up. Shut your desires up. Shut the shaitan up. Shut up everything. Shut up every external thing, external noise, and this is trying to take you away from achieving what you set out to achieve. And that's what I mean. And I mention this all the time, where Sheikh Yahya used to tell us all the time in Damaj. He used to say, you should never, ever, ever go one whole entire day and you have not benefited from that day. You have not benefited anything that you can worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. You haven't benefited anything that makes you better as a Muslim. You should not, like, a Muslim should never go one day without some type of benefit. If you read 1 hour a day or 30 minutes a day, if you were just reading 30 minutes a day, you get some benefit. Reading tafsir, reading books of hadith, reading explanations of books of hadith, reading books on aqidah, or whatever you read, you have to get some type of benefit every single day. Wallahu musta'an. But to get that benefit, you have to show up. And that's the important thing. Wa ilahuna subhanaka wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.